Good evening, everybody. This is the Town of New Canaan Town Council regular meeting for Thursday, March 26th, 2026 at 7 p.m. We will do the Pledge of Allegiance. Who wants to do it today? Somebody on this side. All right, let's do it.
I am. All right. Good for you. Yes, that's the one. Okay.
Here we go, everybody.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's get the roll call.
I'm here. Lena Lee. Here. Mike Morrow.
Here.
Maria Naughton.
Here.
Kim Norton.
Here.
Hillary Armand.
Here.
Mike Rogers.
Here.
Christina Ross.
Here.
Heather Russell.
Here.
Eric Tunham.
Here.
Penny Young.
Here.
Jen Zonas.
Here.
You have a quorum?
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Agenda item number 2, minutes. Approval of the minutes for the regular meetings held on March 12th, 2026 and March 18th, 2026. We'll do a motion and then we can have it for discussion. Anyone want to make that motion? Hillary makes the motion. Mike seconds the motion. Discussion on the minutes for March 12th. We'll start there. Having heard no discussion, we'll move on to March 18th. Any discussion on March 18th? No? Okay. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes for March 12th, 2026 and March 18th, 2026. All in favor? The motion passes unanimously. All right. Moving on to agenda item number 3, public comments. Members of the public are welcome to speak to the town council on agenda topics scheduled for review and/or vote. Speakers are requested to provide their name and street address, and comments will be limited to 2 to 3 minutes, subject to the total number of speakers. Do we have any public comments in the room? No. Anybody online? No. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 4, budget review. Review and discussion of the proposed town budget for fiscal year 2027, including a review of the following budget and line items. EMS, 15 minutes, John Knight and Barb Clayton. OEM, 15 minutes, Russ Kimes. Fire, 30 minutes, Chief Bassett. Police, 30 minutes, Chief DeFederico. EMS, floor is yours.
As way of background for
Microphone's close so everyone can hear you. Thanks.
not usually a problem with the loud voice. As a way of background to give some perspective for what John will present as way of our budget. We are a free service to the community for EMS, emergency calls, 911 calls. We provide 24/7 emergency medical services to New Canaan residents. We also provide mutual aid response to neighboring towns when dispatched. We transport patients to Norwalk Hospital and Stamford Hospital in our fully equipped state-of-the-art ambulances. We're due to take possession of a new one in 2 weeks that has been on order for approximately 5 years, but delayed due to the pandemic and increased costs due to the pandemic. We are a dedicated team of certified EMTs. We have the same certification that paid EMTs are in local hospitals and other agencies, but we happen to be volunteer. We also have members that are in other areas of medical services, nurses, midwives, med techs. So we have a wide variety of experience and dedication to EMS. Just to give you a few numbers, in the year that we're talking about of our budget, we responded to 1,734 calls, which involved 1,800 patients. And of those, about 60% are medical calls, any kind of variety of sickness, to stroke, cardiac arrest, 30% are trauma, and then the rest are variety of mental health emergencies, some refusals. We had one newborn baby that our EMTs were delivered, and that is a skill that we are trained for in emergency medical services. And we had 2 cardiac arrest saves. We have about approximately over 50 volunteers, and those 50 volunteers worked a total of 28,633 hours free of charge to the town. We have recently passed all of our state certification, which is an annual thing, which goes through all of our ambulances, making sure all of our equipment is up to date and all of our insurance is in order. All of our EMTs are certified and their licenses are up to date. We participate in many community services of teaching CPR to New Canaan residents, teaching Stop the Bleed. We are involved in multi-agency training, like for MCIs, in case something like that were to happen. We train with police and fire in all of those areas. And I would say we have a very dedicated service that not only do we do EMS work, but we also have volunteer people who serve as treasurer or serve as any kind of writing checks for the agency, buying supplies, keeping our medical supplies in order, and everything that comes along with keeping the not only the rigs in service, but also the house in order. So I think that's enough. Any questions on that? I kind of skipped through a lot of this quickly, but I think some of you have heard this before.
No, that's fine. That's exactly what we wanted. So.
Okay.
Okay. And then turning on to the budget, in terms of the items which sort of we're responsible for versus the town, the first one is the paramedic contract. It's a 5-year contract which runs through June 30th, 2028. The upcoming fiscal year will be the 4th year of the contract, and it's a fixed annual price of $465,000 a year. So there's no increase for the upcoming fiscal year in terms of the paramedic contract. Then the town also contributes toward our vehicle repair and maintenance, and we're proposing a 3% increase up to $10,604. They also provide a contribution toward our medical supplies and equipment, and we're proposing a 5% increase up to $61,260. And then the 4th item is our information services, which is our contracts with the Southwest Region Communication Center for 911 dispatching and tracking and patching services. And that amount is determined by the Regional Communications Group, and it's divided up among the towns in the region. For the upcoming fiscal year, the increase is 0.6% up to the $64,875. So those are the items that we're responsible for, and then the other items come from the town in terms of their portion of, they take care of the building and some of the other aspects. And then on the capital expenditures we have in the budget for this year, we are going to be purchasing a new SUV for our paramedics. Those are on a 10-year cycle. So every 5 years we purchase a new one, and we have $85,000 in the budget for that. It might be slightly more than that, but to the extent there's an overage, that we would cover that out of pocket ourselves.
Very nice. All right. Any questions on operating or capital? Christina first, then Janet.
How many ambulances do you have?
We have 3 ambulances, and then there are 2 paramedic SUVs.
And how old is the oldest?
The oldest one is now 10 or 11. Yeah, normally we do the ambulances on a 9-year cycle, so we replace one of them every 3 years. But that fell behind during COVID.
Or are the hospital subsidizing the cost of the ambulances?
No. So the ambulance is between the portion that we get from the town and then some that we've contributed toward it in terms of radios, detailing, some of the equipment inside. It's just paid for purely by us and by the town.
Janet,
No, I just wanted to thank your team for all the important work that you do. We're so lucky to have you in this town. I just can't emphasize it enough. And I wanted to know if you can talk a little bit about your volunteers and how many volunteers you have, and how they are trained, and how many go through the training, and all of that. And
Annually, we have an EMS course that takes place at our facility in our training room, and that runs from January through June. And that's usually about 20 people taking that course. From that course, we hope to get a few, 4 or 5 adults. We also take up to 2 juniors in high school. And then our active membership right now, that we have a total of 51 EMTs, but some of those are students. 4 of those are probationary members. So as far as active participating riders of EMS, we have 36, I believe it is. And a shift is covered by two EMTs, and 1 EMT is also a driver. So EMT driver and an EMT at least. But we're at a point now where we can almost host 2 crews per day, and then at least 1.5, 2 overnight. Our shifts are 12 hours in the day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And we're required to ride 60 hours a month. There's a lot. 12 hours a week, and then 1 weekend shift a month. And that adds up to 60 hours.
how many kids are on your, like, say kids, but high school kids are on your staff? And
Right now we have 1, and that's sort of unusual. We usually, at the maximum, we have 2 juniors. And because we don't really accept seniors, because by the time they're trained and ready to be active, they're off to college. So we put a lot of emphasis into the training process. And so we don't want to use our resources to train people for their.
just one last question. A fair part of your budget comes from donations, right?
A fair amount.
Yes. So I just want to acknowledge that. Yeah.
We used to do it in the spring. We've adjusted that to the fall. And I think that our donations this year were right around 200,000.
So it's about a quarter of our budget is covered through the donations. So I think this year to date, we have about 520 donations, roughly about $210,000. So it covers it. It doesn't, so a significant, the bulk of our funding comes from the town through the paramedic contract, and then in particular, when we need to purchase a new ambulance or a new flight car.
We send out a very kind of more of an update letter, but it does include a
soft appeal.
QR code, and people are able to donate either online, or we still get checks for any amount.
And I would just add to what, most of it's word of mouth and through the class in terms of recruiting new members. And for example, we just had a new member approved on Tuesday evening who was retired. They took an accelerated course elsewhere, and they were just looking for something new to do, and they were anxious to get involved with the volunteer.
All the extra time that kids have, these days, they're volunteering for EMS, right? Thank you.
Penny, then Eric.
Yeah, I will second the compliment. It's just what an incredible service we have. I don't think a lot of people in town understand just how vitally important it is to have this kind of critical service available to us, right, just like that. A very dear friend of mine was one of your cardiac arrests. And in addition to your professional training, is included how you handle others who were involved in a situation, not just the patient. And the compliments I heard from this particular case from a family who can be very critical,
Mhm.
and in an emergency situation that heightens, it was nothing but compliments on how incredibly professional you all were.
Thank you.
Compliments too.
Well, it is, when we respond to a call, it's potentially the worst day of that person's life. So we do take special, we have monthly training, which improves our EMS skills, but we also tend to we hope to tend to the bystanders and the family who are witnessing what their loved one is going through. So that's part of our, a part of our mission as well.
But you had to make some speedy, really critical decisions. There was a pressure to go to Stanford and you said, no, we're going to Norwalk. It's 13 minutes, not 22 minutes. He needs those extra 7. And so there. Thank you to you.
Thanks, Benny. Eric.
Yeah, I would just remind my colleagues or point out that the hours that your volunteers have spent would likely cost us between $1 million and $1.5 million if we had a paid staff of EMTs. So I think it is an incredible service that you provide. I have been a recipient of your services more than once. My wife has been a recipient of your services. My father has been a recipient of your services. I have nothing but praise to say for every one of your volunteers and for your organization. And I know you just passed 50 years old last year, so congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for EMS? No, thank you very much.
Very much.
Thank you for your service. OEM, plus kind.
I've been in there and my sister has. God, it's amazing. And I'm like, yeah.
Good evening. For those who have not had the pleasure of meeting before, my name is Russ Kimes. I'm the Emergency Management Director for the town of New Canaan. A little background, I've been a volunteer firefighter in the New Canaan Fire Company since senior year in high school for 27 years, which I still do today. I also had the honor of being a member of New Canaan EMS for 3 or 4 years, which my father actually was one of the founders of, so a generational service. So today's budget request.
Hold on, and you were
Oh, also a fire and code inspector, fire investigator,
more than that.
which,
Serve?
oh yeah, served in the Marine Corps. Yes, yes, sorry about that. Yes, also did 8 years.
Always
in the
that
Marine
out.
Corps. A lot of hats. So for the budget request, I was informed that you've all seen the presentations we've done before, so I'll gloss over some of the initial stuff and just cut to the most important part, which I want to leave the time for, which is the change to the capital down, which I'm sure everyone will be receptive to. So I think everyone is aware of the mission of emergency management. I'm only successful in this role because of the fact that we have an incredible team in New Canaan, and I would have never taken this job if it wasn't in New Canaan, because the chiefs, the department heads, the collaboration is incredible here. And that's not the case in a lot of other municipalities. So we're incredibly fortunate in that. So you've seen and heard about all the training that I've led or we've partnered on. That's a core part of the mission. When it's not a disaster and emergency, it's training, designing, and testing our skills as public safety professionals. We have a new EOC, so even though I'll gloss over some of it, a big one for us is the new EOC located at the police department, which is great because it's a dedicated space. We don't break the computers, bringing them out of a closet every time they're updated. We're not downloading updates every time we try to do something. And it also is a multi-function room available to PD to use with conference facilities and everything else. So that's been a huge, it's been an after action item for every single major event that we needed a space like this. And with the new police department, we accomplished it, which is fantastic. Other big things which does affect the budget is I led the implementation of the Alertus system here in Town Hall, as well as various Town Hall safety improvements. If anyone wants, I'm happy to talk offline or in executive session about the specifics of that, but it, in a summary, is a lockdown similar to what you would see in public schools for protecting our employees of the town of New Canaan, which was very warmly received by said employees for lockdowns, shelter in place, those sorts of events. Heaven forbid they ever occur, and we've done training to the same. So the operator request, the big difference here is the fact that lines got rejiggered at the request of Ryan, who's our budget director. And I applaud his efforts because what he's trying to do is normalize the lines across different departments so we can get actual transparency as to a granular level of copiers and printers and things like that. So a lot of stuff that was lumped into one account has been spread, and I have a slide that explains how that moved. The key movers this year was the service contracts line got split into what you see here, and I have a slide: software subscription, fire security maintenance, office equipment lease and rental, communications, printing and binding. The increase this year is really solely to the Alertus system. Because I implemented it, it ended up in my budget. So we have an annual subscription, which is $6,800. And then a bit of a surprise to me, but because all these devices use IP addresses and they're connected to the town network, the way that IT does it is based on how many IP addresses you have is what your share of the cost for the wide area network is. So that went up from what was previously $500 a year to roughly $2,000 a year. My share for this safety system across 3 buildings to maintain that. For the lines that were existing in the year prior, I have reduced training by 1,000. I've been very successful in getting free training through FEMA and the state. Repairs decreased 500 based on averages. Meals and events down by 500, and I also reduced uniforms and equipment by 500 because CERT and I are in pretty good shape with equipment, so we felt we could bring that down. So how did it split? What you see here is that service contracts split across software subscriptions, fire security, office equipment, and communications. So Everbridge is our call out system. SDS is an app that we use in the EOC as well as a couple other places for really hyper accurate radar and other forecasting tools because weather is 90% of our job or my job. Alertus, which is new, goes under fire security maintenance. We now have a printer in the fire marshal's office because the old one that we had finally gave up the ghost. So I share that cost with the fire marshal's office because one day a week I serve as a fire inspector, fire code inspector, and fire investigator. And then communications is our share of the regional UASI Urban Area Safety Initiative radio system. It is a separate series of radio channels on the state backbone that we can use whenever we want to. Fire is starting to use it more now, and in discussions we've had in planning, it's something that gives us a lot of opportunity, and it's something we share and gives us interoperability with our neighbors. I have a bunch of zero-based, so I'm sure you all have the deck that shows everything I do is zero-based budgeting. So that's, I won't go into every single line on this. The big one is the capital change. So the capital change was at 170. I don't have it in front of me, but that's it. It doesn't matter. We are in consultation with a number of subject matter experts in the radio communications field, as well as Northeastern Communications, as well as the folks who I'm also on the team for the Fairfield County Regional Communications team. I think you've heard me talk in prior years about the Motorola contract and how unhappy we are with the price of it. And it's a sustainment for a high level of our public safety radio system. We have a public safety radio system that supports communications for police, fire, EMS, public works, and the CERT team. There are 7 sites to the system. There's infrastructure and hardware that runs it. And we maintain it when we need to maintain it. We own it. It's our own system. We previously had a contract with Motorola, which was good because it got us the latest and greatest software updates, patches, routers, things like that. The Motorola came back to us as we were coming out of that 5-year contract with a 31% contract over contract increase in price, which was unacceptable. I pushed back, got them down to 21%, and even that's still unacceptable based upon the discussions that I had with others. So we have come in consultation with the first selectman, as well as all these subject matter experts, to the recommendation that we should move to a contract with Northeastern Communications in the amount of $78,660, which will provide a service agreement, preventative maintenance, site inspections for the actual infrastructure for our public safety radio system. The caveat to that is if something big breaks, which is highly unlikely, it is a new system fully upgraded as of coming out of the 5-year, it will likely be a special appropriation out of contingency, which the discussions I've had is wouldn't be anything, and it's a very low probability, nothing north of 100,000 or in that neighborhood, which is certainly manageable. I would much rather that and ride this system until it's sunset when the components are at end of life in the 2030 to 2034 range. And that's the time when I think we strongly recommend we move to the state system, which all of our peers have done. It's a substantive capital project to do that in the neighborhood of $5 or $6 million, but we can choose when to do that. The nice thing is we have our VHS system, we can run it forever, and we can pick the year or break it into parts over several years to potentially move to the state system as everyone else around us has done. And additionally, there's a pending bill, which I testified in support of in Hartford, which is not going to happen this year, but potentially in the next, which says that if you add infrastructure to the state system because you're joining it to get good coverage, that the state, in theory, would actually pay for the maintenance or sustainment of those sites going forward. Pending bill, not likely this year, but something that would certainly encourage us or enable us to do that. So the recommendation is to bring it down to 78,660. So just have a little bit of wiggle room in that particular line item.
Okay. Any questions on operating or capital? Kim, please.
So going from Motorola to Northeastern, is it the same amount of radios or how many radios is it?
So our system, our radios, what they like to call in the parlance is scribers. So the things you see people walking around with or they have in their cars doesn't change. We have around 300 of those across all of those different agencies. This is for the infrastructure, the towers. To use an analogy, the cell towers, but it isn't cell towers, it's for radios. So the various sites and the brains that run our system. And so it would be 24/7 on-call support. And it's actually the same people who are doing it now, just as agents of Motorola. They're the licensed vendors. So we're cutting Motorola out, for lack of a better word, and just working directly with them. And they have a good track record of, I hate to use the term, but scavenging parts and making things work at a very cost-effective way. They've done it before. They've done a very good job. They're very good at the technical end of this. So that's why I'm making this recommendation. And we have the fallback position. They're going to be able to fix a lot of things. It's just the low probability in that period we would need to come for a special appropriation. And in that case, they fix it and we would address it post.
Great. And so who's on it?
Police, fire, EMS, Public Works, and the CERT team.
Okay, great. And just one last question. When do you think you see yourself transferring over to the state system?
I'd like to see it a little sooner than later, but the nice thing is we can choose based upon what works best with the capital situation for the town. Our system parts of it will start sunsetting in that 2030, 2032 range. The real core of it goes out of service 2034, calendar year, sorry, not fiscal year. But that said, I think it's one of those where we have the option to strike when the timing is right.
Great savings. Thank you.
Excellent. Christina.
So I just want to be sure the equipment that we've invested on will still be working with the new carrier.
Correct. And it's actually the same equipment. It's still Motorola stuff. Norcom are the Motorola dealer/repair people. It's just the way that a lot of my peers described the Motorola contract that was for $180,000 or $90,000 is it's an insurance and it's way over what you're getting out of it. And the state, I believe, is actually looking into Motorola, as are other states, for their pricing practices anyways.
Awesome.
I have a quick question.
Janet.
How do you communicate with neighboring towns that are on the state system?
That is a source of difficulty. So we've been purchasing bits and pieces of what we call all band radios, which allow us to talk between VHF. And the analogy that actually our assistant fire chief used today, which was great, was the difference between FM and AM. One radio doesn't work on the other. So we've been getting those. Fire has them. The command officers, 2 command officers at the police department have them. EMS has 2. So over the past few budget cycles, I've been buying them bits, and they're forward capable. They will work on the state system too. It is something I think that is an active discussion. It is certainly enhanced, especially in a major disaster or active threat scenario, if we move to the state system, because then we are on a common operating platform with all of our peers and neighbors. Right now, the nature of the beast is, without county government or someone driving it, back in the day, there were 168 potentially different systems that everybody owned bespoke. So it's us and Darien right now, and Fairfield are the last that have not jumped onto that ship.
Okay. Any other questions or comments for Russ Kimes? No, Russ, thank you. You're really a blessing to the town, and thank you for your preparedness when things are going wrong. It's good having you at the helm.
Sorry to bother you at random hours with power outages and everything else, but I'm happy to do it.
Good to know.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Okay.
You could add auctioneer to your
great.
Yeah.
resume.
Yeah.
Very efficient talker.
Yeah.
She's great.
Chief Bassett, come on down. Sven, come on up. You're a fire commissioner. Come on. Sven Englund is
Sven.
Good to see you. Thank you for being here, being a fire commissioner, and thanks for everything.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back.
I'm up. Not the right way, but we're getting there.
Hit the big button, we're all set.
There we go. All right, good evening, everybody. Chief Bassett with the Fire Department, Commissioner Sven England, one of our three commissioners. So we're here to present the fire services budget for FY '27. Just to hit on quickly on some of our 26 goals, objectives, and accomplishments. A lot of training, a lot of new members came on, bringing them up to speed on their basic training. And a lot of our current members, both career and volunteer, went through numerous certification courses within the Connecticut state system that makes them, more much better for us as far as different responses in town. Big thing we continually do is our public education. That still continues. A lot of events, a lot of school events, and a lot of the public events, downtown sidewalk sale, the holiday stroll, Taste of New Canaan, and so on. So always with a different idea, different topic that we're trying to present to the community, depending on the season. And our smoke detector program still very strong with residents requesting. This is calendar year, 50 smoke detectors last year and 25 carbon monoxide. We did launch Community Connect. We're coming probably on 10 months right now since it's connected. It's our community-facing portal that the residents can sign up for, and we can get basic information, as little or as much as every resident wants to put into the system. As we're responding to the call, we can see it on the iPad. Whether you have pets, if there's children in the house, a gate code, possibly a hidden key for the house if you're not home that we need to get in. What we started with is just asking everybody, just as the most basic information is contact information. If a neighbor calls in something in the neighborhood, it ends up being your property, then we have access to your current phone number that we can get a hold of you if they couldn't. So trying to get that, and we unfortunately had a jump because of the recent fire, but we jumped about 15 subscribers in the last week on the platform. Our numbers run about 1,200 calls a year, still just over 50% of them as what we consider, which comes in as a fire alarm. Doesn't mean it's a false alarm, but your services that you're paying your alarm company to call in the smoke detector or heat detector in the house. That's over half of our initial run. Some of them do end up being something a little more serious, whether it's carbon monoxide or a small fire in the house. We're still very big on mutual aid, both receiving mutual aid and providing mutual aid to our surrounding towns that are limited staffing also. 95 simultaneous occurrences. Why that number is so important is we're committed to one call. Our volunteers a lot of times will take the second run, but that's 95 incidents that our response time was delayed to get to another resident's home or wherever the emergency was. So it's about just under 10% there of the probably about 8% of the calls. Our property loss last year, again, this is calendar year, just under 400,000 for property and contents loss. Property protected, though, out of that 400,000, that was 37 million worth of taxable property that was involved in those incidents. And our actual numbers for fires, what a coded fire is. So there's 44 coded fires. That's the national United States Fire Administration, who records all this on a large database. We had 44 incidents that met their requirements, that there was some type of fire in the house, could have been an electrical outlet, Could have been a small garbage can fire in the, in the garage or in front of a local business. So that's what a coded fire is. 12 of those 44 were actually building fires. So there was a fire within the structure. And then 10 of those were accounted for the 400,000 in fire loss. Yes, sir.
A quick question. Is the property and contents fire loss of 394,000, is that net of insurance reimbursement or is that gross?
Our fire marshals developed a scale of what a new kitchen, the value of a kitchen, the value of a bedroom, and that's how he determines his fire loss. So if there was a kitchen that was gutted by a fire and maybe part of a living room, then he would put that number so it's consistent across all our incidents.
But it's the gross number. It's not.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
not-
if you have one house burn all the way down to the ground, that's going to shoot that number.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're right.
Thank you. Thank you. Well done. Thanks.
Yeah, and then if someone knocks the house down because of the small fire in there, that's not accounted for.
Right.
We saved it when we left. What we're working on for next year, and as always, continue with our public education, trying to figure out new ways to get the different topics out. Again, the hot topic seems to be our lithium ion batteries. So finding new ways to get that information out so people are buying safe ones and also using them safely. We continue firefighter health and safety, still a high priority, anywhere from gear or our operations on how we're doing stuff to reduce our cancer and actually mental health issues in the service. Always working on our water supply program. So that's in the picture here. One of our firefighters used our records management system to map out 1,500 feet from every one of our water supplies. So why 1,500 is important? Because that's what our fire pumper carries on it for hose. So we know if we're within 1,500 of that water source, we can use one engine's worth of hose to make it. So this is on our iPads. When it comes up, the address comes up. The officer sitting in the front seat can expand it. They can see those 1,500 marks. If you're over 1,500, then we're looking at alternate water supplies, which is also part of our larger program and knowing where we're going to have fill sites and run our tankers, our tanker and then mutual aid tankers too. So good job on that. And, putting those distances in, it makes it a lot easier at 2:00 in the morning to get a good distance from a water supply. Working on our driver, our new
Chief,
assistant chief
Chief,
started in.
Chief.
Oop,
1 second, I had a
Can I
question.
just ask a question? Because I don't feel like I've read much about it. Like, is the lithium battery an issue in town? Have you had a lot of incidents with that?
Unfortunately, the last couple, we've had 3 incidents in the last year and a half that actually it was this year. They were all this year, 2025, that were caused by a lithium ion battery.
What equipment they were associated with? I'm just curious.
One was a car booster pack. One was
You mean like one of the
like
the
if you were going
electric?
to jumpstart your car,
Oh, okay.
and it was a combination of jumper pack and a fill your tire air pump. The other one was actually a battery that would go into a drill, portable drill, or any of those tools. And the other one was some type of almost like it was like almost a hair dryer, but it was like more for arts and crafts, that it was on charge, and that one caught on fire. So those are the 3 that we've had in 2000. Well, one of them was in 26, but the other 2 were in 25.
Are you worried about that becoming like an area of like?
We are
increased-
starting to have a little more concern than we did, coming into the Teslas and, and we had a long discussion on this today. It's, it's just people need to really know that their batteries are tested and certified and the products that they're buying are using those type of batteries.
Some more education on that.
Yes.
Okay, thank
So
you.
we're trying to get something out in this month's newsletter. So look for it next month. Training, we're quantifying our driver and operator programs. Like I was saying, our assistant chief started in May. So the second in command, and he's working strictly on training and operations and trying to quantify all this and getting a lot better documentation and objective-based training so the officers can check people off and say, yeah, you're good to go, you're ready to drive, you can make decisions. That's kind of what we're doing. Jumping into our operating budget, it's a $4.844 million request. Its overall increase of 1.1%, about $55,000. I've carved out our staffing, which is the bulk of about 90% of the operating budget. And you can see our full-time salaries have only increased 0.5%. There's actually 2% increase for the full-time staff in here. They're just finishing up with contract negotiations. So we were advised to put 2% in there. My actual increase is 5% because last year we did have 2 firefighters on extra while they were going through the academy before we had retirements. So that kind of skewed the full-time cost last year because of the 2 extra firefighters for half the year. And as you can see, everything down the line is pretty much 2.5% for the increases for additional vacation, the adjustment, salary adjustments going forward. Callback, we use callback for actual fires, and that continually is running over the request that we have with the raises. And the good thing is we're getting more people back. So that was what the 36% increase was there, trying and bringing it up to 15,000, which is more than norm of what we're spending every year for the callback incidents. And that's pretty much the large part of the budget. So if there's any questions on, and there's our staffing off to the side as far as what that is paying for.
Any questions for the chief? Nope. Continue, please.
Good. Another large area of the operating budget that we have an increase is our maintenance and repair. So that was about a 25% increase. We are running at about our average age of the fleet is 17 years old for our vehicles. So our maintenance costs, our regular services are happening on a regular basis. We're tending to get a lot more emergency repairs versus maintenance. So that's been driving the cost up, and we've overrun our request over the last 2 years with some of the repairs that have to happen. Large repairs such as coolant systems or radiators. We did 3 radiators over the last 2 years. Large incidents like axles have broken. So we, pretty expensive repairs for trucks themselves and things that you're normally not doing a routine repair on. You're just doing an inspection and it's in good shape. So that's kind of the request for next year. Trying to.
May I?
Yes, go ahead.
There you go. So if a truck lasts 25 to 30 years and the trucks are roughly 17 and a half years old on average, you can see that we're getting an older fleet and the cost of maintenance goes up because the frequency of maintenance goes up and the problems get more serious. So please approve our vehicle maintenance budget. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And you'll see a capital request coming up for a pumper. Just to quickly talk about, this is what some of these apparatuses are doing. And we're looking at changing our model. So our first 2 pieces, right now are an engine and a tanker, running 1,200 and 500 runs respectively. So a lot of hours, a lot of wear and tear on those. An engine rolls third due that's only going out about 215 times. It's getting out the door out of those 1,200 calls. And then the ladder and the rescue kind of come in, fill in with staffing as it comes in for the callback, and they'll take the other pieces as needed. And there's about 70 runs on those annually. What we're moving toward we do have a new engine on order. It's coming in at the end of the year. We're going to transition to what we call an engine model, which still gives us 2,000 gallons of water on the initial with the on-duty staff. But it does allow all 6 firefighters to be in your driveway in front of the house versus the tanker didn't allow that. So a lot of times we're down the street, and the tanker can't get into a a smaller driveway. So we want this new engine that we're getting is going to run basically as a first due piece that all 6 firefighters are in the way with 2,000 gallons of water. And we're going to put the tanker as a third due piece of apparatus, which where it really should be in the role. That way it can act as a water supply and go seek more water if needed. So, and which will also reduce the number of runs that tanker with a dual axle. That truck costs us a lot of money to maintain every year. So we want to preserve the life of it a little longer. And, it's still going to get out on calls, but it's not going to be going on the everyday call, the 500 times a year that it's running now. So it's going to be basically cut in half so we could get some more life out of it. So it'll be third due and so on. And then the other pieces are still going to run in their respective order. So the capital expenditure, this is moved around a little, so you might have saw some different numbers when we first gave the presentation to the liaisons and maybe even from the Board of Selectmen's meeting. So we still continually replace our personal protective equipment. So this year we don't have as much turnout gear, our regular protective clothing that we have to purchase. So that number has gone down for for FY27. That's the PPE is on a 10-year replacement plan, and we replace about 7 sets a year. Is the average to keep all our roughly 55 members in proper turnout gear. We'd like to add radios. This radio replacement is, as Assistant Chief Kimes just talked about, we want to put tri-bands in 3 of our first due pieces of apparatus. So we have better communications with our mutual aid partners. Right now, we are using a portable radio. We thought it worked out well when we first got it. It's very difficult for the fire officer to change channels if they're getting dispatched to Wilton after the radio's already in underneath their coat. So they're seatbelted in, and en route, they don't have communications with them. So we feel that we were waiting for replacement of apparatus to change the radios, but with the first due pieces, we need to move to a tri-band radio in the cab of the apparatus. So that's that 40,000 request. Our tools and equipment, 20,000 replacing thermal imaging cameras and some automatic defibrillators. So a couple of pricey items for 27. We have to start replacing our rescue tools. They're at about 12-year life. We're also looking, airbags are 10 years. So we have a plan to replace them over 3 years for our whole complement. We are reducing the size of the tool complement over the next 3 years, but we're going from hydraulic to battery operated. So yes, we have lithium-ion batteries in our place too, but again, it's going to reduce our cost on the operating side because we don't have as much maintenance on those tools. And what it does allow is more mobility, more portability with them. In some of our areas that we go that we can't access it, like the Merritt Parkway, that they could carry tools 200 feet, 150 feet up to the vehicle. Now, right now, we're limited to the truck has to be within a 30-foot distance of the accident to do any work because of the hydraulics.
It's got a hose.
Yeah, hydraulics run on hose. So we have 30-foot maximum on the tools currently.
Chief, can I just ask quickly, could you remind me what it means for first due, second due equipment?
First, just terminology we use, a first due piece is the pumper that's going out all the time to all the calls. So that would be the, first due is going to go. So they're always taking it. If you have a smoke detector change, first due is taking it. If it's going to a house fire, first due is the first piece that leaves the firehouse, and second due is the one that's following it.
Okay.
So that's kind of how, and as you start moving from 3, 4, 5, and 6, just less and less that they actually, that we're filling them up with callback people and they get out. So there's an order of that, how they're all supposed to roll out.
Thanks.
No problem. We did move one of those big switches since Board of Selectmen meeting and Board of Finance. I moved a pumper replacement up to FY27 based on our evaluation of the maintenance, where most of our big repairs were happening, and trying to get the apparatus on a 12-year, roughly a 10 to 12-year replacement plan. We moved the pumper up to FY27. We were looking initially, and you'll see it in the 5-year plan, to do some refurbishment on our tanker and the ladder. But with further evaluation, we felt that can wait another year, and we need to start building the pumper. And one is cost, but the other reason is it's going to take 3 to 4 years to get the pumper built. So that was something else we looked at. I'm not a fan of having multiple pumpers in the build process, but right now with today's timeline to get the apparatus out, we can't do that. We're going to have to start to stack them a little closer so that we might have 2 on order at the same time. But this is going to try to get us to a 12-year replacement plan on our frontline pumpers, where most of the major repairs are happening, and long time out of service. And there'll be a 30-year truck that goes out of service when this comes in. A 30-year truck would be decommissioned at that time and sold, or whatever happens with it.
What takes so long? Is it because it's and is yours going to have to be extra specially designed because of our openings?
And
To some
partially.
degree, but most of it, I mean, it doesn't matter. You can have the biggest firehouse and still a 4-year build. They're all custom. They're all custom pieces. Nothing's like, it's not getting like a Ford Taurus or whatever. It's SUV coming off the line it's not as perfect as that, and it's getting stamped out and bolted on by robots. It's all done by hand, and it's just the process to get it done. I mean, I don't know what you want to add to.
Penny, I'm not going to use the word cartel,
No.
you know,
But you just
or
used it.
collusion amongst manufacturers. But no, this is nationwide problem that everybody's facing. And, moving up means that we go through the truck committee to, put together the specification, get the specification out there a year earlier so that we get the truck when we need it instead of later. And like I said, we're getting kind of old and rusty, so we need to, plan ahead a little bit. And this is, strictly looking at market and calendar schedules. So that's all.
You mean the vehicles, Sven?
What?
The vehicles are getting old and crusty, correct?
Yeah.
Not the people,
Yes.
Sven. Come on now.
Thank you.
Yeah, this went from a
Easy.
2-year process, 18 months to 2 years, and everyone blames COVID, but it's work. It's the skilled labor and everything that they're trying to keep there and keep the shop open. It's again it's all custom when they're building them.
Chief, we have a question down here.
Yes.
And apologies to our chair, because I truly always try to follow along, but I would appreciate just hearing one more time. Why did the pumper replacement jump ahead of the tanker refurbishment? What was the?
Originally we were looking at a 15-year, so we were going to try to keep the pumpers 15-year. That's an NFPA recommendation. The problem with that is they also recommend at 25 years decommissioning it. So that's the standard that fire service follows, National Fire Protection Association. So they recommend decommissioning it at 25. So at 15, we have 3 pumpers that kind of go in a row. We would have a new one, basically a 15-year-old one, and then a 30-year-old one that's operating. So, and technically that would go to 40 plus years if we were stayed on the 15.
Mhm.
So that's why looking closer at the maintenance, where the big problems were happening, it's happening at that 10 to 12 year mark. And that would now only keep our oldest apparatus, which is, truly a backup to the backup piece, but still operational. That would get it to about 30 years before it gets retired. Did I answer? And as far as the tanker, we really didn't have all the data on the tanker yet as far as costs and what we were asking for. So we're still really truly evaluating it if it's going to be a true refurbishment, or it's, if it's a candidate for a new one right now also. So we're still finishing that up with what when we're getting all the information in from the vendors.
Thank you.
So the point is, Jenna, the point is, if we move it to, so that it's not in the first roll out of the building, there'll be fewer miles on it. We baby it along. So hopefully it will become a candidate for a refurb, but we can't tell that until we get a structural assessment.
Of the tanker.
Yeah, of the tanker. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
And then we asked for a gear washer last year. Unfortunately, with our building, we need to upgrade some electrical and plumbing work. So that's the request for the tax support of 15,000 is to do the plumbing, to get that second gear washer and a decon sink that we already have in place that was donated, to get that plumbed, and more important, getting the wastewater out, which seems to be the bigger problem. That's our bigger issue. But that's what the 15,000 is to support the gear washer. So that's next year's request. Here's just the capital pictures, and then over the 5-year, looking out for continued with gear and some of our regular, maintenance stuff such as hose and our water supply. The continued rescue tool replacement over the next 2 years. But you can see there right now we have a placeholder for $1 million for the tanker refurbishment, and also our ladder trucks coming up on that one needs to get refurbished. We don't really have an option to buy new there, so that is in a placeholder for 28 and 29 for the ladder for refurbishment of those apparatus. So right now the ladder's looking at about half the price of a new one for refurbishment, and the ladder right now is 23 years old. And then again, the tanker, continuing with that project.
Can I do Sven's rant?
Yep.
So here's Sven's rant on ladder 3. We absolutely have to refurb this truck. You see that the bay already has the lintel cut. The top of the door is cut to fit this ladder truck. We'll never be able to get another truck like that where the ladder comes down over the cab and the cab is road level. Just not made anymore. Can't get one. When we get the new ladder truck in, you can push the button and start the timer for when we need a new firehouse.
Ooh, drop that one on us, didn't you, Sven?
Well, you got 10 years, you got 10 years to find the site, get through the NIMBY, and get it built.
Well, you laid the law down. Yes, thank you for volunteering, Sven.
Anytime, Mike.
We got Eric, please. Eric, then Penny.
Quick question. Other than size of the cost, how do you determine what's bonded versus what's tax support? Is it life of the asset?
I leave that to Ann. Finance.
It's just funny. There's some things that are going in next year for tax support that are 40,000, 20,000, 15, and then you've got personal protective equipment at 25,000 bonded.
That could be
that it's actually in the wrong column. Yeah, it should go into the tax supported versus bonded. It should in the book, the budget book, it's in the right column.
All right.
That's my mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ann. Penny?
Gives us the guidance. Finance gives us the guidance.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Is this information has been communicated to the affordable housing people who are looking at other sites around town, and as to whether or not this would fit in with or instead of? What's this?
We have not talked to the affordable housing.
Well, I think you probably ought to, because I know one of the sites we looked at some years ago was the Forest Street parking lot. In fact, we were talking about a mutual emergency services, putting fire and police and everybody together, because there are some shared services. But now that we have a new police station, I'm sure that's not the thinking any longer. But I mean, if that is a possible location, then that needs to be communicated to those folks, because that's one of their 3 sites.
Thanks for the heads up on that one. Because Locust Lot, and I know a lot of people don't want to hear about parking, but That's a problem for us too. Our volunteers come in and we don't have spots for them. We're getting firefighters in to go to calls and there's nowhere to park, during the day. That's hard for us.
There are
Yeah.
layers in that particular site, so.
All right.
Good. Yes.
Did
Yep,
you
sorry.
mention there was a problem with response times on the east side of town?
So the liaisons heard this, a larger picture on, the thought of that the firehouse looking at about 2040 is where we were targeting for a new firehouse. And I think the vision should be have a second location. Our outskirts of town, we don't meet any of the standards. It's about 10% of the calls in the top of Valley Road, top of Ponus Ridge, and then down Lower Jelliff Mill. So those are about 100 calls a year for each one of those areas, so just under 10%. And all of them are 12-minute to 14-minute runs up there. So we're not hitting our standards in there. So if a good vision would be to start to look at a second location, split our current crew into two locations. The new station would be twofold. It would be able to handle bigger apparatus. So a ladder truck. Not only height is an issue over at our firehouse, it's also the weight. So we have a basement underneath us. So as trucks are growing every year with new stuff in them, the weight is increasing, which is causing us, that's also a limitation. That's why we got to be really careful on, why we want to refurb over buying new is because of those weight issues also. So that's it, the thought process. And if that new station would be built, then we'd have to relook at doing downtown also, but we can use the same footprint and make it bigger. So that's kind of the vision, but yes, we need to talk about it more and seeing what that, does look like and if there's availability.
Someone that lives up on the northeast corner of New Canaan, in that 12-15-minute ride, I always kind of figured you had relationships like there's a fire station right in Vista on 123.
Yeah.
Reciprocal?
We do. We do. But again, 55% of our calls come in as a fire alarm. It's not a typical request for mutual aid initially. And the delay in mutual aid, they would probably only beat us by a minute or two based on the way we call. We have to call them via telephone through our dispatch system. We do have mutual aid though. If it came in as a house fire, they would be there probably at the same time, if not before us. If it was on the top of Owen Oak or Vista coming into Briscoe or North Wilton Road, they would probably beat us if on a fire if we called them. That dispatch gets the call out pretty quick.
We were on this state radio thing already that they were just talking about.
Well, New York is not. So New York is a telephone call, and they have our radio system, so they would switch over to our band and let us know what's going on. The Connecticut departments are on our radio on the state system. That again, it's still a phone call. In Connecticut case, they actually call them on the radio. That radio system that Russ talked about, they actually just call over all the dispatchers are monitoring it, and they'll make the call. They'll say New Canaan to Wilton. We have a call on Valley Road. Can you start heading?
Okay, that discussion, I appreciate that. That's a much larger, bigger discussion. It's beyond the purview. We got to move it along. Is there any other questions for the chief? No, thank you, chief, very much.
You're welcome.
Police, you on up?
I'm
Chief?
sorry. Oh, somebody says I didn't hear that.
Thank you. It's like 9 o'clock here, right?
Thank you, Sven.
Good to know. Good to know.
Thank you, sir.
Let's go. Yeah. Thank you. I'm so excited.
Good evening, everyone. Chief John DeFederico, for those that I haven't met yet, and this is Deputy Chief Walsh and Captain Ferenga with me tonight. I have edited down our original slideshow from the one you may have on your devices. I've just kept the raw numbers, but if there's anything you want to discuss that's in the others.
Thank you, Chief.
deck, let me know. We'll start right in with animal control. We do cover the animal control budget. Currently, there's two budgets residing in animal control, the animal control budget, which is 93,491, and then the dog fund budget, which is request is 22,9. Just for a point of clarification, the dog fund has nothing to do with our canine, our police canine programs. It often get that question. The two are completely unrelated. This is what resides in the dog fund. I'll discuss in a coming slide, but that's revenue from the dog licenses and some other fees that are paid out through that. The animal control budget is largely our animal control officer's salary and benefits. All of the other items listed below, the training, the repair, maintenance, those have either been moved over to the dog fund or we absorb them into our police operating budget. So the 93,491 is almost entirely the animal control officer's salary and his benefits. The dog fund, as you can see, contains the dog license revenue, which is roughly 24,000, and the other expenses are 22,900. Those are mailings that he has to send out for license reminders and that sort of stuff, and some uniform and equipment. The professional services, that is the rabies testing that we have to conduct when we take in an animal if there is a situation. So those are the animal control budgets. If there's any questions, if not, I can move on to the police side.
Is there a capital request for animal control?
There is no capital request this year for animal control.
Even though we just had a fire in it. Right?
Lithium battery.
Okay.
Chemical. No, it had nothing to do with dryer. It was on top of the dryer, but it was just some chemicals that were on rags that interacted with each other.
Spontaneous combustion.
Yes, yeah.
That's a question for you.
So our operating request is 8.373. These salaries are 87% of that budget. As you can see, salaries in our overtime and our contractual based, so that's a large portion of our budget. On the bottom there, I carved out the overtime lines so you could see, they'll get a little clearer picture of those, of what our overtime drivers are. And as you can see, we're trending in the right direction for our overtime. A lot of that's due with our staffing and some of our supervisory positions. The one area, the second supervisor, that was a rise in FY24 or in 25, that was just due to some staffing, but we've corrected that and we're trending in the right direction in that as well. So those overtime line items account for 569, almost 570,000, slight increase from FY26. Are there any questions on the salaries and the overtime?
Questions? No?
Are you fully staffed, or does it?
It seems like one step forward, two steps behind. As soon as we're fully staffed, there's a retirement or a resignation. We did have an officer recently graduate from the police academy. We swore in a new officer last week. But in that time, we've also had a resignation. So it's a constant, we're chasing that animal. But oftentimes in our hiring process, we are looking for either level officers or candidates. They would have to go to the police academy for 6 months, but we also look for already sworn officers, which greatly reduces that.
Thank you.
Some other areas of significant increase are our utilities and service costs. The utilities, we're still working out the details of that in our new building. But as you can see, we're hoping to see some relief from some of those line items from previous years. Obviously, the year prior, we were in rental facility, so those numbers were a bit skewed. And then prior to that, we were in the old building. So we did receive these numbers from the buildings department. So we're hopeful that we'll continue to see some reductions in some of those expenses. The service contracts are a big increase for us. We did inherit some expenses from the town IT department. A lot of those are licensing, Microsoft licensing, and IP addresses and things like of that nature. And then migrating all of those things into our system because we do have some unique security requirements in our department. So that accounts for 75,000 of the increase in the service contracts. And then I also broke out the rest of our internal that are unique to our department, the service contracts. All of these things are required from our fingerprinting system to our records management system, the e-ticketing software and hardware that we use in the police vehicles, our body worn cameras, in-car cameras that are state required now by state law. So, and the modems in the cars and whatnot. So all of those account for 176,000 for the total of the 250,000 increase in our service contracts. We did have a number of areas where we saw no increase or a reduction. We felt that judging off of previous year actual numbers, we could either maintain those at a zero increase or a reduction. Any questions on operating?
Any questions for on operating for the chief?
I'll move on to our capital. Our capital request is pretty standard this year. We are requesting 300,000 for 3 new vehicles. So that'll get us 3 fully equipped vehicles. I have a next slide where I can break out that a little bit more. But then there's also vest replacements, radio replacements. The other significant increases are taser replacements. Those are our less lethal taser units. That company has updated their models. Our previous models are being sunset. We delayed purchasing new ones last year because we had the new firearms. So we didn't want to overwhelm our officers with too much new equipment. So we delayed that to this year, and to replace all of our existing tasers to the newest model, it's 150,000. The patrol rifle replacement, that's just equipment and bits and pieces of the new. We're not getting a new weapons platform. It's just to update the outdated and used up rifles, and we're going to reconfigure them and update those, and then 12,000 for defibrillators. So the total capital request is 549. I did break out in a little bit more detail the cost of the 3 vehicles. So it's 3 Tahoe vehicles, and then all of the in-car video equipment and the upfitting of putting on all the lights and all of the equipment that goes into a standard vehicle comes out to 293.
Are you all still traveling a fair distance for training?
We are. It depends on the training. So much of the training now, it used to be where a lot of the training was conducted at the Police Academy in Meriden. They've significantly reduced a lot of their training in-house, so we have to go outside, sometimes out of state. But we do have to travel. A big portion of our training is for firearms training. We have to go to either Wallingford or Danbury. We did sign an agreement with the Federal Correction Facility in Danbury this year that has an outdoor range that we can utilize. So we're in a good position now where we have places to go that are accessible. So we're cautiously optimistic in that we have now the Federal Corrections Facility, the private range in Wallingford, and then also Worcester Mountain did some significant site work at their facility. So we were of the mindset that they might be closing down, but it looks like they've invested in some of the infrastructure there. So we're hopeful that we can get some more training time there. So
Mike,
Yes, please.
what's the what's the lifespan of a taser gun?
a taser, we generally get 8 to 10 years out of them. It depends on the company because they are computer and software based, so they have to be plugged in and updated. So when the company no longer supports a unit, we have to phase them out, but we generally get 8 to 10 years out of them.
And with regards to the new tasers, are the officers specially trained?
Yeah, they'll receive updated training on the new device. It's somewhat different than the one that they have now. And that's why we wanted to delay it from last year, because we didn't want to overwhelm them with that type of training with the new firearms and then a new taser unit. So they will get a significant amount of training on the new units.
And that would eliminate the confusion between a real gun and the taser gun?
Oh, that's absolutely part of it. Yeah, you could see them. They're bright yellow and they're on the opposite side of the officers wear them on their patrol equipment. And a significant part of the training is to not confuse the two. Absolutely, yeah.
Is that something you said?
We don't have to use it frequently, fortunately, but when you need it, we want to use it. I'm sure you've seen in the news that, we're getting more and more in law enforcement in general, more and more encounters with emotionally disturbed people. So we want to have that option of a less lethal option to control a subject, rather than immediately go to deadly force. You're welcome.
Are you using, or what platform do you use, if you use any, for license plate readers? Is it Flock?
We
or
use,
is it-
yes, we have a contract with Flock,
Okay.
and
Is that being shared? Or do we?
we follow state law, the State Trust Act. We don't share with any federal partners. We do share with Connecticut, and we do share interstate because we border New York, so we kind of have to. But we audit our system frequently. We have running audits. We only store the data for 30 days. And there is a state model license plate policy that has come out in the past couple of weeks. And then we are updating our policy to follow that. But we do follow all Connecticut state statutes, and we don't share with any federal partners or anything like that.
All right, any other questions for the chief on anything?
How's the new building?
It's great.
Is it? Yeah.
Oh, it's
I'd
great.
love to
Yeah.
hear
No, we
just
love it.
how
Please
it's
stop
going.
by and come see. But yeah, so we've been there almost a year now. It'll be a year in June, and everything's running great. A few kinks that we have to work out, as you can imagine, but the men and women really love the dedicated locker rooms that are no longer infested with sewer flies and poor ventilation. We have a proper number of lockers for our female employees, which is growing. We have a proper workout room, workout facilities, shower facilities, and the purpose-built holding facility, which is up to date and to standard. So everything is working great. So we're very, very grateful for that.
Thanks, Chief.
Just a word of gratitude for the public education that you're doing for safety. I know you did that. It was February 9th at the library, something like that. Yeah. So I think those are very helpful. I know that was very well attended.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yep. And we're going to continue those throughout the year. And it is beneficial to get the word out on how best to protect yourself, protect your vehicles, protect your houses. And then we're right in the middle of tax season, so fraud is amping up. So we will definitely continue those, and we're looking forward to hopefully hosting another Citizen Police Academy, which we haven't done in a few years because we haven't had a facility. So we're going to do that too soon.
Right.
Thank you, Chief. All right, with that said, thank you. Thank you for your service, guys, and keeping
Thank
us
you.
safe. Thank you. Have a great evening. All right, just right before we break for the evening, so we're back on Tuesday for education and something else. I think health and human services. Okay, great. And then just as a educational note or informational note, there was a town council committee hearing, education committee hearing yesterday. It's up online, so I just commend that to everyone's attention. Watch it. Good spirited discussion in preparation for next Tuesday. With that said, well, I could get a motion to adjourn. Hillary, seconded by Christina. Seconded by, so we writing that down? Oh. Hillary made the motion, Christina seconded, all in favor? The motion passes. Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.